Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I had a little socially distant gathering planned for this coming week. Just 3 of us around the fire pit on the patio out there. After the restrictions were announced, the text change began with this question: what's the thought about Thursday night? Am I bubble worthy? The chain went downhill from there. As you know, rather than mandate a complete lockdown, our county executive, Sam Page, has mandated a safer at home order for folks in St. Louis County. In almost every way, it is what Washington University has been doing and that our students have already embraced. It is a major and collective effort to make sacrifices in love to keep our hospitals and our healthcare first responders safe. Starting Tuesday, people in St. Louis County will only be able to leave home to go to work or school, to exercise, to seek medical care, or shop for goods and supplies. And here it is that what is different from our March lockdown is just this: we are invited to form social bubbles with 10 or fewer family members or friends and limit all interactions to that group. And you can leave home for those interactions. So, not a complete social lockdown, but a bubble of 10 people who you can rely on to stay safe and keep your family safe, but also to keep you sane, balanced, alive, growing. A bubble of support whom you can rely on, stress out with, process this next chapter of this wild ride called 2020. Who will your 10 be? Who will be in your bubble? I'm still working on my list, or rather, on the type of people that I want to be on my list in my bubble. And I get that my list might look different than many people's list because I'm a celibate priest. Yet, what I propose to you is that today's readings provide some pretty good criteria for whom you might want to include on your list, in your bubble. Minimally, I want at least one person, just one person, like that worthy wife described in our first reading from Proverbs. I would choose someone like her, not because of the stereotyped roles that many people draw from this text, nor do I want someone there who might be just a good cook or handy around the house, though those are great things for me. But more importantly, I would want someone in my bubble who I can entrust my heart to, my fears and my hopes to, and someone of deep faith who fears the Lord, which is to say, who walks in this world with awe and wonder. That's why the woman is praised, because life is just incredibly rich because of being in relationships with people like that, relationships that have more than multiplied the happiness in our lives and in the world. Knowledge, wisdom grow. Generosity feeds on itself. Kindness sets the world on fire. So who is a person of wisdom? Talked about in that first reading. Who is a person of wisdom in your life? And a worthy woman or man who blesses you who, like this, needs to be in your bubble. Shifting to the characters in that gospel you just heard, the obvious choice during a pandemic would be the third guy, not the first or the second, but the third guy, the one who buries the money in the sand. He's not going to be the type who is going out secretly to hit the bars. He won't be the one not wearing his mask. He won't be the one involved in any kind of risky behavior, which is everything we want if we want to stay safe, right? He's the one who's going to be constantly washing his hands, observing the letter of the minutiae of the guidelines of the CDC to be safe. Certainly, he might be a safe choice to have in your bubble. Yet in this gospel, he's taken to task. Why? In his own words, I knew you were a demanding person, so out of fear, I buried your gift. And by the way, my friends, it wasn't a small gift. That talent is equivalent to 18 years' worth of wages. Out of fear, I buried your gift in the sand. In the face of God's amazing trust and generosity, the servant found it easier to fear God than to respond to God. Respond to God's lavish, generous love. In this third, somewhat strange story Matthew records, Jesus wants us to look at our attitudes in following God. Jesus' fear is that his disciples will misunderstanding the God he reveals to us, making God more like a mean boss instead of a loving giver of everything. Jesus fears that we will live our Christian life as followers of him, as students to Jesus, hiding and cringing, doing the minimum and even less, if we can get away with it. Jesus fears that his kingdom will not grow because his followers do not believe in it. He worries that we will not see ourselves as children of the light, trusting his saving presence. He worries that we probably will not be bubble worthy, even for him. These are not the kinds of people Jesus would put in his bubble for his sake. So who is praised then? Who is bubble worthy in the kingdom? Those willing to risk, willing to take a chance, not with a virus, but with generosity. With generosity. How good it would be to be quarantined with human beings who are doing their best to be generous in the midst of all this. Generous with their personality, generous with their service, generous with their attention and time. How might God be calling you to be that kind of person who takes that kind of risk? That one in somebody else's bubble. And the final category of who I would want in my bubble, and perhaps you would too, because Jesus does. It might be a bit surprising. I want at least one person in my bubble who needs me or someone in this world to be a support and love for them. My bubble cannot just be about me. Paul's letter says it just that way. We are children of the light and of the day. We are meant to be light for others, to make differences in this world, in their own worlds, who might need me to be that kind of person for them in the next 4 weeks. And even if they don't make it into my physical bubble, will I make sure that they are in my spiritual support bubble, at the very least, in my spiritual support bubble, with a daily or weekly phone call, or Zoom, or text, or letter? Who is in your bubble? Who should be in your bubble? You have 2 days to figure that out. And the rest of your life in the bubble of humanity to live that out. To be the kind of person who is bubble worthy.